On today's video, I'm going to help you guys plow through the nastiest bits of one of my favoriteest Dream Theater tunes, Overture 1928. Well, hey there kids, it's your good buddy, Uncle Ben. If you're looking to get into learning some Dream Theater songs, Overture 1928 is the perfect place to start. And the good news is there's actually lots of accurate tabs out there for this song, the best one being in the official Dream Theater tab book. The book has just about everything tabbed out note for note, although there are a few little details that it's missing that we'll check out in this video. But even if you have a super accurate tab for the song, all it's going to do is tell you where to put your fingers, not exactly all the details of the techniques and skills that you'll need to play the licks themselves. There's some really tricky licks in this tune, and we're going to go through one by one, that way you're fully armed with everything that you need to conquer this song. Downloadable tabs, backing tracks, bonus lessons, and so much more can be found over at the coolest place on the entire worldwide interweb, my Patreon page, over at patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. Even for just $1 a month, you get access to all kinds of goodies, so don't delay. Sign up today. Gear-wise for today's video, I'm playing my lovely Suhr Modern Satin with a Jim Dunlop T3 .88 pick. We got that going into a Suhr Woodshed compressor pedal for a little extra bump before I hit the front end of the REVV Generator 120. The first tricky lick that we're going to talk about today is in the intro of the song, which is mainly pretty easy to play until about 42 seconds in when you hit this really fast sextuplet-based run. Let's check it out. One more time at stepdad speed. Okay, so this is a really fast sextuplet-based run in D Lydian. Now when I say sextuplets, what I mean is that we're cramming 6 notes into every single beat. And the phrasing of this particular lick makes it a little bit tricky to feel out where the downbeat is inside of all of those phrases. So you can see that the first phrase on the second string has 4 notes in it. Meanwhile, the rest of them all have 6, and it's just like a straight 6 descending pattern on all the other strings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. Now, whenever I learned this the first time, my natural tendency was to feel the downbeat as the first note of every one of those 6s. Because that's usually how straight 6s are played, with that first note happening on the downbeat. If I count out those groupings of 6 while I play the lick slowly for you here, you're going to see where note number 1 of every phrase actually is. It's not where you'd think it would be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, A. You can hear when I played it right there that I really tried to lay into note number 1 of all those groupings really hard. When you practice with those accents, really digging into those and playing them harder like that, you're going to stay locked into the groove way tighter. So now that you got the rhythmic grouping down, let's talk about the picking technique that you're going to need to make this happen, because it's actually not as hard as you think it would be if you know one little trick. Okay, you remember how earlier I said how there's 4 notes, then 6 notes, then 6 notes, then 6 notes, then 2 notes, right? Those are all even numbered groupings. Down, up, then I change strings. Down, up, change strings. Up, just like that. All the string changes are happening after upstrokes. So that means that this lick is a picture-perfect candidate for some downwards pick slanting. Because if you play this lick with downward pick slanting, you're going to be going 1, 2, 3, 4, easy string change because my pick is up in the air. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, easy change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You get the idea. Broke my metronome. It got better. Anyway, watch my picking hand here as I play the lick, and you're gonna see that kind of diagonal trajectory that the pick needs to be on to play this particular lick. There it is, out of the strings. There it is again. And again. 1 minute into the song, we enter into the section that's based around the E whole tone scale. And it's not too bad to play, except for the very last lick in it, which if you don't use the proper fingering can be a real nightmare. Check it out. Let's check that out again, more slowlier. It's a good finger independence builder right here. You'll notice that whenever I play the 5 and 7 on the A string, I'm doing that with my 2nd and 4th fingers. That way I could use my 1st and 3rd fingers on the D string, and then reverse that order whenever I come back. And then play your 3rd and 1st fingers on the low E string. And then you're gonna have 4, 3, 2, 1, just like that. And then when you get to this very last lick right here, that last open A string I was never really quite sure about. It sounded to me like maybe it could have been B flat. It's kind of palm muted, the whole band is playing and the snares are hitting right there, so it's really hard to hear that particular note. But actually right here on YouTube, if you just type in Overture 1928 guitar only, somebody has uploaded the guitar stems for this. I have no idea where they got them, and who knows, by the time you watch this, maybe they've been taken down, who knows. But if you listen really closely on that section of the guitar track, you'll blatantly hear an open A. Just like that. After that, you got the keyboard solo, then John's first guitar solo of the tune, which is actually reasonably easy to play. Some nice sexy lines in there. And then at around a minute 50 in, they go to that funky F-sharp Mixolydian section, which concludes with easily the hardest part in the entire song. And this is also one of the licks that I've never seen anybody tab out or play accurately, myself included, whenever I put out my original cover video for the song several years ago. So I'm going to show you guys how to actually play this part and then give you a little bit of evidence as to why I'm playing it the way that I am. Let's check it out. One more time at stepdad speed. There's really no two ways about it. That's just a really fucking hard lick. There's that shifting rhythmic feel there that goes from feeling like 16th notes to 16th note triplets, those sextuplets again, that can be really hard to get down, especially while you're doing the string skipping and all the other heinous stuff that he packed into this lick. So that's the section that's all based around 16th notes, and then from there we go to the faster sextuplet feel for the next section. If you're having some difficulty changing rhythmic feels like that, I recommend even just taking a single note and kind of grooving with your metronome there, changing from those 4 per beat 16s to the 6 per beat sextuplets. And if you want more exercises and stuff like that to work on that technique, just search for Ben Eller speed bursts or something like that right here on YouTube, and you'll find a bunch. So whenever you make that transition from the more 16th note based part to the really fast sextuplet section, you're going to want to make sure that the first note of the sextuplet section is a downstroke. You want to have that good strong rhythmic emphasis of putting that first note of the 6-note groupings as a downstroke on the downbeat. And due to like this one little section in here that has a pull-off in it, I found my timing getting thrown off a lot whenever I was trying to get to this part here. And whenever I would hit that first note of the sextuplets, it would be on an upstroke, and that's how I knew I had missed something. So I did find one thing while I was practicing the section that helped me out a lot. Check this out. That note right there, the C note on the G string, needs to be played with an upstroke. For some reason, coming off of this lick, I always wanted to do that C note as a downstroke, but make sure that you're doing it as an up. The The sextuplet lick that follows that is without a doubt the fastest, hardest part of the song due to the alternate picking at those tempos, making the string skips happen, and also trying to play the basically impossible fingerings and stuff for this that I usually see tabbed out. The great news is, it's actually way easier than what anybody else has tabbed out, or the lick that I thought that he was doing here. Let me explain. It's really more like one of those Van Halen, or more accurately, Steve Morse style, just patterns. It's not a scale at all, which makes the whole thing way easier, because I thought he was playing something like this. More like an E major scale kind of feel right there. But I could never get it up to speed because you got this nasty little position shift that happens right there when you hit the second string. So here on YouTube, or YouTube as my British watchers know it as, I've got the Overture 1928 from Live in London. We're going to be tracking his first finger, which you're going to see located at the 14th fret. No position shifts until he does that final bend. Watch the first finger. But the good news is there are some workarounds for this particular lick. So even if you're not up to playing like too many notes by the dregs or something like that, there's still some ways around this lick that you can handle. Let's talk about them. The first way that we'll talk about is the way that John himself does it, which is just good old-fashioned alternate picking. Down, up, repeat. Which, with this particular lick and at this tempo, is harder than Satan's dick. It's using odd numbers of notes per string, specifically threes there at the last part, which means that if we're alternate picking this, we're going to be changing strings after downs as well as ups. Down, up, down, and so on. And because of that dual escape kind of nature of licks like this, that means that if you're alternate picking your way through it, you're going to have to use some two-way pick slanting, which is really tricky. I'm going to exaggerate and make the motions really big here so you can see them on camera, but you'll notice that I have to flip-flop the pick slant with every string, like this. But thankfully, if you're not an alternate picking god like John, there's other ways around this lick too. Let's talk about those. One strategy that we can use to navigate this lick is a brute force technique called swiping. It's not like a be-all, end-all, this is gonna fix your picking and enable you to do anything you ever want to. But for certain things, like ascending licks like this one, it can make your life a whole lot easier. Here's how it works. Okay, so as I navigate the strings, I'm supposed to go down, up, and then make a downstroke that goes past the string without hitting it. That way I can go up, down, up. Instead of trying to go down, up, and then doing a downstroke that passes away from that string so you can do the upstroke, it's kind of like instead of jumping over the hurdle, what if you just plowed through it, right? It looks like this. Down, up, down, up. Do you see how I did that like double strike to get under the string? It's like rather than getting around it, just plow through it instead. And you're not really going to get any noise off of this string as long as your muting powers are good. Because if you're playing this lick with like your fingers really arched up like this and you try to do a swipe, yeah, you're going to hear the open G string. But if you play with your fingers a little bit flatter, especially your first finger right here, see, it doesn't sound like I'm hitting two strings right now. But that is the sound of me doing 1, 2, blasting through and swiping through that string. That way I can play up, down, up on it. It would look something like this. You can even do it with the big string skipping part at the top of the lick, this part. If you're good enough with your muting and stuff, you can actually swipe through both the G and B strings whenever you hit that last F sharp note on the D string, just like that right there. So you can go down, up, double swipe to get under the B string, hit that guy with your upstroke, which pops out of the strings, and then from there the rest of the way is just going to be swiping through on the downstrokes. And the last picking solution you can use to navigate that lick is some good old-fashioned economy picking. Now this is not the way that John does it. John isn't really much of an economy picking sort of player. He's more all alternate all the time. So if you're really getting serious about learning John's style and learning more Dream Theater tunes, I recommend just biting the bullet and doing the alternate picking thing. But, you know, if you're in a pinch and you need to get this song down and you need to play this run, this is a great strategy to use, especially if you're primarily a downward pick slanting player. The hardest part about this is going to be the string skip, which there's just no really good way around that. Down, up, down, up. You just got to do that string skip. If you don't want to, you could also do some hybrid picking like this. Down, up, down, hybrid, okay? That keeps the pick from having to leave the D string, and then the rest of the way, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. The hardest thing about that is going to be maintaining the time feel. And I've always found that maintaining your rhythm while economy picking and kind of just falling through the strings like that is really hard. But again, it might work for you. At 2 minutes and 45 seconds into the song, we get to that awesome unison section, which is really tricky to play, partially because of the cross-picking technique that you're going to need in order to play it correctly, as well as the fact that this is also one of those sections that isn't tabbed out correctly most of the time. Some of the tabs I've seen are missing the guitar harmony that John plays, and all of them are missing a few subtle little trills that go by in this section. Let's check it out. One more time at stepdad speed. That is just a super beastly section to play because the rhythm is so strange, the melodies are all over the place, and probably the most challenging aspect of all for me, which was the cross-picking technique that you gotta have in order to play it like John. There's a lot of sections in this whenever I learned these the first time, many years ago, that I wanted to play with sweeping, where I would alternate pick a few notes, and then where there'd be like consecutive single notes on a few strings, I would just try to sweep those instead. I always had the worst time trying to stay in rhythm and play this tightly, you know? Because whenever you're playing these like unison sections like this, they have to be, you know, tighter than a frog's asshole. So if you're not playing this with this cross picking, it's going to be really hard to stay on time and keep in rhythm with the rest of the band. Now you might have been able to see right there, whenever I was playing through that section, I was doing it with that cross-picking motion, which most closely resembles like turning a key in a lock. Because whenever you move the pick like this, instead of up and down, it escapes on the downs and it escapes on the ups. Now the thing that's so great about cross-picking is it allows you to maintain your rhythmic stride, so to speak, while playing quickly. Here's what I want you to think about whenever you play this, because whenever you say it's cross-picked or it's alternate-picked, it makes you think that literally the entire thing is down, up, repeat the entire way through. If you play this section as literally just alternate picking, it's actually going to get thrown off. The groove will get disrupted. Check this out. You can see a few times in there my picking hand kind of froze so that I could maintain the alternate picking motion. And what ended up happening is after that first pause, there, that downstroke that you're coming in with is actually on an upbeat. So the next section of the picking is going to be all rhythmically reversed with your upstrokes happening on your downbeats. I want you guys to try to play this section with the picking hand always in motion. That way you're going to be landing with the downstrokes on the downbeats and keeping your groove super tight. Watch again as I play, and you're going to see that even in the sections where I'm not playing notes, my hand is still moving to keep me in the groove. I'll really try to exaggerate it, that way you can see it well on camera. Again, that's really exaggerated motions, but you need to practice it that way to get used to staying in the groove as you play that section. Keep all those technique and transcription tips in mind, and the rest of the song is gonna be a breeze. If you like this lesson and want to gain access to a ton of backing tracks, bonus lessons, downloadable tabs, and more, consider supporting my channel over on my Patreon page, patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell for notifications every time I upload a new slice of fried gold. Thanks as always for watching, but it's time to get away from the computer and get to work on this John Petrucci classic. Less clicking, more picking.